You touched the infinite. You saw behind the veil. You had the great awakening. So why do you still get annoyed in traffic, feel overwhelmed by dirty dishes, and have to do your taxes? Let's talk about the truth that no one tells you about life after you wake up. If you're feeling confused because your daily life doesn't look like the blissful images in spiritual books, you are not alone, and you are not failing. You are in the most important phase of all. Subscribe to The Hidden Voice, and let's pull back the final curtain on the messy, beautiful, and profound reality of an embodied awakening. Part 1. The pain of the spiritual hangover. Let's be honest about the morning after. The morning after the ecstasy. The morning after the cosmic insight, the satori, the profound moment where the universe revealed its seamless, loving nature to you. You carry the memory of that experience like a secret jewel in your heart. You remember the feeling of boundless peace, the absence of fear, the certainty that everything was interconnected and perfectly unfolding. In that moment, or that series of moments, you felt like you had finally arrived. You had crossed the finish line. And then, Tuesday happened. And on Tuesday, the dishwasher broke. Your child had a tantrum. You got a passive-aggressive email from your boss. And you reacted. You felt a surge of hot irritation. You felt the cold grip of anxiety. You felt the familiar weight of overwhelm. And in the midst of that very human, very messy reaction, a devastating thought arose. I'm a fraud. This is the pain of the spiritual hangover. It is the dizzying, disorienting gap between the memory of the mountaintop and the reality of the valley. You feel like a king who has glimpsed his infinite kingdom, only to be thrown back into a small, cramped cell. And the cell is your own ordinary human life. The guilt can be immense. You berate yourself. I should know better. I've seen the truth, so why am I still getting caught up in this petty drama? An enlightened person wouldn't feel this way. You start to doubt the awakening itself. Was it real? Was it just a pleasant dream, a temporary chemical state in your brain? You feel a profound sense of anticlimax. You did all this work, you went through the dark night, you faced your demons, you had the great epiphany. And for what? To still have to deal with traffic jams and taking out the trash? There's a part of you that feels cheated. A part of you that wants to go back to the bliss, to the ecstasy, to the state where none of these trivial human problems seem to matter. But you can't go back. And you don't know how to go forward. You are stranded between two worlds. You are too awake to be fully lost in the dream of ordinary life again, but you are too human to live in a state of perpetual transcendent bliss. So you live in a state of quiet conflict, feeling like a failed mystic, a spiritual imposter who knows all the right answers but can't seem to make them work on a rainy afternoon when the internet goes out. This feeling of disillusionment is not a sign that your awakening was false. It is the sign that the real work, the work of integration, has just begun. Part 2. The great work of embodiment. Now, let us speak the unspoken truth. Let us voice the secret that is hidden in plain sight, the secret that lies at the heart of all mature wisdom traditions. The spiritual awakening is not the goal of your journey. It is the start of your journey. The glimpse of the infinite, the experience of unity, the satori. That is not the graduation ceremony. That is your acceptance letter into the real school. Everything that came before, the seeking, the healing, the dark nights, was just the entrance exam. Now, the curriculum begins. And what is the curriculum? It is the long, slow, messy, and infinitely sacred process of integration. It is the great work of learning how to hold the boundless consciousness of the ocean within the small, humble, and beautifully limited container of your human life. We have a romantic fantasy about what awakening looks like. We imagine a life free from all problems, a permanent state of serene bliss, floating a few inches off the ground. This fantasy is the source of all your disillusionment. It is a childish interpretation of a profound reality. The real path, the path of the masters, is not about escaping your humanity. It is about bringing the divine fully into your humanity. It is about learning to be the vast, peaceful sky while your human self navigates the inevitable weather of life. It is about discovering the sublime within the mundane, the sacred within the ordinary. The unspoken truth is this: your awakening does not grant you an exemption from the human condition. It gives you a new perspective on the human condition. You will still feel anger, but you will now have the awareness to not be consumed by it. You will still feel sadness, but you will now have the spaciousness to hold it without drowning in it. You will still have to wash the dishes, but you now have the capacity to do it with a level of presence and gratitude that can transform the chore into a meditation. The goal is not to stop being human. The goal is to be a fully awake, fully conscious human. And that is a far more difficult, and far more noble, task than simply floating in a state of disembodied peace. The universe does not need more souls who have escaped the world. It needs souls who have chosen to come back and fully inhabit the world, bringing their light with them. This phase you are in, this phase of feeling clumsy, of feeling like a fraud, of struggling to reconcile your cosmic awareness with your daily tasks, is not a problem. It is the path. This is what embodied enlightenment looks like in its early stages. It is awkward. It is humbling. And it is the most important work you will ever do. It is the alchemical process of grounding heaven on earth, right in the center of your own ordinary life. Part 3. Investigating the mundane. This journey of integration is not a conceptual one. It happens in the trenches of your daily life. The laboratory for this great work is your own kitchen, your car, your office. To understand this, let's conduct a small investigation into the nature of the mundane. I want you to bring to mind a simple, recurring task in your life. One that you typically label as boring, a chore, or unspiritual. Perhaps it's the act of washing the dishes, or folding laundry, or answering a backlog of emails, or paying bills. Choose one, and feel, in your body, your typical reaction to the thought of this task. Feel the subtle sigh of resistance. The feeling of, ugh, I have to do this. The desire to be somewhere else, doing something more important or spiritual. That feeling of resistance, that story you tell yourself about the task, that is the source of the suffering. It is not the task itself. So, let's do a little experiment right now, in our imagination. Imagine you are standing in front of a sink full of dirty dishes. Feel the usual story arise. This is a waste of my time. This is drudgery. This has nothing to do with my spiritual path. Acknowledge that story. See it as a cloud of thought. Now, let the story go. And just for a moment, drop your awareness out of your head and into your raw, direct sensory experience. Become nothing but a field of sensation. Feel the exact temperature of the water on your hands. Is it warm? Hot? Feel the smooth, slick surface of a soapy plate. Feel the satisfying friction of the sponge against a stubborn piece of food. Listen to the sounds. The sound of the water running. The gentle clinking of plates as you stack them. The squeak of the clean glass. Don't label them as good or bad sounds. Just hear them as pure vibration. Notice the physical movements of your body. The gentle sway of your hips as you stand. The movement of your arms, your wrists, your fingers. Feel the muscles working. In this space of pure, non-judgmental awareness, where is the boring? Where is the drudgery? Where is the unspiritual? They are nowhere to be found. They do not exist in the reality of the present moment. They exist only in the story, in the judgment, that your mind projects onto the reality. The task itself is neutral. It is simply water, soap, movement, sound. You see, the problem was never the dishes. The problem was your resistance to the dishes. Your belief that you should be doing something better. Your judgment that this moment was inferior to some other, more spiritual moment. The great work of integration is the practice of withdrawing this judgment from your life, moment by moment, task by task. It is the practice of bringing the same quality of presence that you might have in meditation to the act of tying your shoes. It is the realization that there are no unspiritual moments. There are only moments that you are present for, and moments that you are not. The feeling of being a fraud comes from the gap between your knowing and your doing. You know, conceptually, that all is one. But you still treat the dishes as separate from your spiritual practice. The path to authenticity is to close that gap. To live in such a way that washing the dishes becomes your spiritual practice. This is how the divine is grounded. Not in a great, flashy miracle, but in the quiet, humble, and fully inhabited reality of your ordinary human life. Part 4. The lineage of wisdom. This truth, that the ultimate spiritual practice is life itself, is not a new idea. It is, in fact, the final teaching of the world's most mature and grounded wisdom traditions. It is the secret that is revealed only after the fireworks of the initial awakening have faded. It separates the novice from the master. In the world of Zen Buddhism, there is a famous saying that perfectly encapsulates this entire journey. It is attributed to the Chinese master Qingyuan Weixin, and it goes like this. Before I studied Zen for 30 years, I saw mountains as mountains, and rivers as rivers. When I got a deeper knowledge, I came to the point where I saw that mountains are not mountains, and rivers are not rivers. But now that I have got its very substance, I am at rest. For it's just that I see mountains once again as mountains, and rivers once again as rivers. This is a precise, 3-stage map of the path you are on. Stage 1, mountains are mountains, and rivers are rivers. This is the state of ordinary, unenlightened consciousness. The world is taken at face value. Things are solid, separate, and real. There is no deeper meaning sought. This is the world before the spiritual search begins. Stage 2, mountains are not mountains, and rivers are not rivers. This is the state of awakening. This is your peak experience. It is the deconstruction of ordinary reality. You see that the mountain is not a solid thing, but a shimmering dance of energy. You see that the river is a manifestation of a universal flow. You see that everything is consciousness, everything is an illusion, nothing is as it seems. This is the mind-bending, ecstatic, and disorienting phase of seeing behind the curtain. Many spiritual seekers get stuck here, believing this is the final destination. They want to live forever in the state where mountains are not mountains. Stage 3, mountains are once again mountains, and rivers are once again as rivers. This is the final stage. The stage of integration. The stage of embodied mastery. It is the return to the ordinary, but seen with new eyes. You are no longer lost in the transcendent vision, nor are you lost in the mundane reality. You have integrated the two. You can now see the mountain, in all its solid, rocky, physical glory, and at the same time, be aware of it as a shimmering dance of energy. You see its absolute reality and its ultimate reality simultaneously. You can now fully engage with the mountain of your life, your job, your family, your finances, without losing the awareness of the deeper truth. You are at rest. The conflict is over. This famous Zen saying is not a tale of disappointment. It is not saying that you end up right back where you started. It is saying that you return to the same world, but your capacity to perceive it has been infinitely expanded. You are no longer required to deny the physical world to be spiritual. You are no longer required to deny your spiritual insight to be functional. This is the unspoken truth of life after awakening. The grand prize is not a permanent escape from reality. The grand prize is the ability to be fully, completely, and peacefully present for reality, in all its messy, mundane, and sacred glory. The work is to learn how to cut wood and carry water, not as a chore that distracts you from enlightenment, but as the very expression of your enlightenment. Part 5. The parable of the astronauts. Return. To fully grasp this journey of returning to the ordinary with new eyes, let us use a modern parable. The story of the astronaut. Imagine an astronaut who has trained her entire life for a single mission, to go to space. She endures years of grueling physical and mental conditioning. She masters complex systems. She pushes her body and mind to their absolute limits. Her entire focus is on the goal, leaving Earth. And then, the day comes. The launch is a success. And for the first time, she finds herself floating in the silent, weightless expanse of space. She looks out the window of her capsule at the Earth hanging below her, a single, shimmering blue and white marble in an infinite blackness. And in that moment, she experiences what real astronauts call the overview effect. It is a profound cognitive shift, a spiritual awakening. From that vantage point, there are no borders between countries. There are no divisions between races or religions. There is only one, single, living, breathing, incredibly beautiful and fragile organism. She is flooded with a sense of unity, of boundless love for the whole of humanity and the planet itself. The conflicts and struggles that seemed so important on the ground now look trivial, like arguments between ants on a beautiful jewel. It is a moment of pure, transcendent bliss. It is the peak of her life. But the mission must end. She cannot stay in orbit forever. She must come home. The re-entry is turbulent. She is slammed back into the crushing force of gravity. Her body, accustomed to weightlessness, feels impossibly heavy. The silent peace of space is replaced by the noise and clamor of the world. And now her true challenge begins. It is not the challenge of getting to space. It is the challenge of living on Earth, after having seen it from the heavens. She goes to the supermarket, and the sheer number of cereal brands feels absurd. She gets stuck in traffic, and the anger and impatience of the other drivers feel alien. She has to balance her checkbook, deal with bureaucracy, navigate complex human relationships. Every part of her longs to go back to the silence, to the weightlessness, to the sublime beauty of the overview. She feels a profound sense of disconnection. How can she explain the feeling of seeing the whole Earth to people who are worried about their quarterly reports? How can she reconcile the cosmic unity she felt with the petty divisions she now sees everywhere? She feels like a stranger on her own planet. Her greatest temptation is to become a space snob. To sit in judgment of the unenlightened people on the ground, to dismiss their earthly concerns as trivial, and to spend all her time reminiscing about the glory of being in orbit. But her true spiritual work, the great work of her life, is to resist that temptation. Her mission is not to escape the Earth again. Her mission is to integrate the consciousness of space into the reality of Earth. It is to learn how to feel the unity while standing in the supermarket aisle. It is to remember the beauty of the whole planet while sitting in a traffic jam. It is to bring the astronaut's perspective into the human's reality. This is your story. Your awakening was your journey into orbit. You experienced the overview effect for your own life. And now you have returned. You have been slammed back into the gravity of your human existence. And your great work, your heroic mission, is to learn how to carry the silence of space within you, even as you navigate the noise of the world. It is to embody the heavenly perspective while your feet are planted firmly on the messy, beautiful ground. Part 6. Choosing embodiment. Do you recognize yourself as this returning astronaut, struggling to reconcile the view from orbit with the gravity of daily life? If this story validates your own sense of post-awakening disorientation, then I invite you to officially join this mission of integration. Subscribe to The Hidden Voice. This is a ground control station for the returning astronauts of the world. A place to share notes, to find support, and to learn the tools necessary to live a fully embodied, awake life on planet Earth. Your presence here helps to ground this work for everyone. And now, we move to the pivotal choice. We have seen the truth. The work is not to get back to space. It is to bring space down to Earth. This requires a conscious, deliberate internal commitment. A vow to choose embodiment over escape. For a while after your awakening, you have been judging your human life by the standards of your peak experience. You have been trying to make every moment feel like the weightless bliss of orbit, and feeling like a failure when it doesn't. Now, we flip the script. We stop judging Earth by the standards of heaven, and we start learning to find heaven within Earth. Find your center. Feel the gravity holding you. Feel the solidness of the chair beneath you, the floor beneath your feet. Feel the simple, undeniable reality of your human body. And from this grounded place, make this declaration. I, in the presence of my own soul, honor the memory of my awakening, my view from orbit. It was a gift of grace that showed me my true nature and the true nature of reality. And now, I consciously and willingly accept my mission of return. I accept the gravity of my human life. I accept the challenges, the limitations, and the beautiful messiness of my human condition. From this moment forward, I release the need for every moment to be a peak experience. I release the desire to escape my life, and I embrace the sacred challenge of inhabiting my life. My humanity is not an obstacle to my enlightenment, it is the vehicle for it. Now, let's make this choice a practical orientation for your daily life. I vow to look for the sacred within the mundane. I will practice seeing the infinite in a grain of sand, and eternity in an hour. My spiritual practice is no longer separate from my life. My life is my spiritual practice. When I feel the pull of old irritations or human emotions, I will not see them as a failure of my awakening, but as an opportunity for my integration. I will meet my humanness with the vast, compassionate perspective I learned in orbit. I am an astronaut who has come home. My mission is not to tell stories about the stars. My mission is to build a better world on the ground, inspired by my memory of the stars. Take a deep breath and let this new orientation settle within you. Feel the resistance leaving your body. The fight against your own life is over. You are no longer trying to escape gravity. You are learning to dance with it. You are no longer judging your humanity. You are infusing it with divinity. This is the beginning of true, embodied mastery. Part 7. Rebuilding the vessel you have chosen. Embodiment. You have accepted the mission of bringing the astronaut's consciousness down to Earth. To succeed in this mission, we must understand the delicate process that is now underway within you. You are, in a very real sense, rebuilding yourself. The experience of awakening is often like pouring a gallon of pure light into a 1-ounce cup. The old container, the egoic personality structure you had before, is often shattered by the sheer force of the experience. It is cracked open, its limitations revealed, its solidness shown to be an illusion. This is a necessary and beautiful part of the process. But you cannot carry water in a shattered cup. The phase you are in now, the phase of integration, is the sacred work of consciously rebuilding a new vessel. A new personality. A new way of being human in the world. But this time, you are building it with the awareness of the light it is meant to contain. Your old personality was built unconsciously, forged by childhood wounds, cultural conditioning, and the demands of survival. It was a vessel built primarily for defense. The new personality, the one you are now crafting, is being built consciously. Its purpose is not defense, but expression. Its function is not to protect you from the world, but to be a worthy and capable vehicle for your soul to engage with the world. This is why your old human reactions, irritation, sadness, insecurity, are now coming up for review. They are not signs of your failure. They are pieces of the old vessel that are showing themselves to you, asking, "Am I still needed? Is this structure still useful for the new container?" When you get angry in traffic, it is not a sign that you have lost your enlightenment. It is your soul showing you a piece of the old, unconscious programming, the belief that the world should bend to your will. And it is offering you a choice. Do you want to rebuild this old, reactive pattern into your new self? Or do you want to thank it for its service, and build a new response based on patience and acceptance? When you feel the sting of jealousy, it is your soul showing you an old belief in your own lack. It is offering you the opportunity to dismantle that belief and install a new one based on the truth of your own wholeness. This is the great work. It is a meticulous moment-by-moment process of examining the raw materials of your old self, and consciously choosing what to keep, what to discard, and what to transform. You are not just a human being anymore. You are a human becoming, a conscious artisan of your own personality. This process requires immense patience and self-compassion. You wouldn't expect a new house to be built in a day. You cannot expect your new self to be perfected in a week. There will be times when you default to the old blueprints. There will be times when the old, reactive wiring takes over. And in those moments, your only job is to notice, without judgment, and to gently, lovingly, return to the new blueprint. You are not a failed mystic. You are a master craftsman, engaged in the most intricate and important construction project of your life. Building a human self that is strong enough, flexible enough, and humble enough to be a true home for the divine. Part 8. Finding the sacred in the mundane. The blueprints for this new vessel are not found in books or ancient texts. They are found in the present moment. The materials for its construction are not grand spiritual experiences, but the very fabric of your ordinary life. These are the daily practices of the conscious artisan. The first ritual, the one thing at a time vow. The old ego mind lives in a state of scattered fragmentation. It thinks about work while talking to the family. It worries about the future while doing the dishes. It replays the past while driving the car. This scatteredness is the opposite of embodied presence. Your new practice is a vow of radical single-tasking. Choose one mundane activity each day, and commit to doing only that one thing from its beginning to its end. When you wash the dishes, you will only wash the dishes. No music. No podcast. No mental planning. Your entire universe becomes the feeling of the water, the sight of the soap, the sound of the plates. You pour your entire, undivided consciousness into the simple act. When you drink your morning coffee, you will only drink your coffee. You will not check your phone. You will not watch the news. You will sit and experience the warmth of the mug, the aroma of the beans, the taste on your tongue. For 5 minutes, that coffee is your portal to the infinite. This practice is incredibly powerful. It trains your mind to come out of the abstract past and future, and to land fully in the physical reality of the now. It heals the split between your awareness and your life. And it reveals a profound secret: there are no boring tasks. There are only tasks that are performed with a scattered and distracted mind. When you bring your full presence to any activity, it becomes saturated with life, with sacredness. The second ritual, the this, too, embrace. Your old programming created a hierarchy of emotions. Peace, joy, and love were good and spiritual. Anger, jealousy, boredom, and sadness were bad and unspiritual. This judgment is what creates inner conflict. Your new practice is to dissolve this hierarchy. When a difficult human emotion arises, your ritual is to meet it with the gentle, non-judgmental mantra, this, too. When irritation arises in traffic, you take a breath, you feel the heat in your body, and you whisper internally, ah, irritation. This, too, is part of the human experience. This, too, is welcome to be here. When a wave of sadness comes for no apparent reason, you allow it to be there, without needing a story for it. Sadness is visiting. This, too. When you feel profound boredom during a meeting, you observe the sensation of boredom without resistance. The energy of boredom. This, too. This practice does not mean you act out on the emotion. It means you stop fighting the feeling of the emotion. You are expanding the container of your awareness to be vast enough to hold all the weather of your humanity without resistance. In doing so, you take the fuel away from the fire. The emotion, allowed to be felt without judgment, passes through you much more quickly. You are learning to be the spacious sky for all the clouds, not just the fluffy white ones. The third ritual, the divine in the details inventory. Your mind is conditioned to look for the spectacular, the grand, the spiritual. This ritual retrains it to find the divine in the smallest, most overlooked details of your life. Each evening, in your journal, your practice is to inventory 3 hidden divinities from your day. You are looking for moments of unexpected grace, beauty, or simple goodness. For example, the way the afternoon sunlight created a perfect golden square on my living room floor. The genuine kindness in the eyes of the cashier at the grocery store. The profound, simple gratitude I felt for the taste of clean, cold water when I was thirsty. You are training yourself to be a hunter of small beauties, a connoisseur of the ordinary. This practice pulls you out of the story of, my life is not spiritual enough, and drops you into the direct evidence of the quiet, constant sacredness that is always present, waiting to be noticed. It is the practice of seeing the world through your soul's eyes, rather than your ego's expectations. It is how the astronaut learns to see the beauty of Earth with the same awe that she once reserved for the stars. Background music. The warm, intimate soundscape deepens, becoming richer and more profound. The piano melody can resolve into a series of simple, peaceful chords that feel like a homecoming. Part 9. The Divine's Dilemma. You are learning the sacred art of integration. You are building your new vessel, finding the holy in the humble, practicing the presence that closes the gap between heaven and earth. As you undertake this great work, it is helpful to zoom out one last time and understand the cosmic purpose you are serving. Your personal struggle with integration is not just personal. It is a reflection of the universe's own deepest longing. Imagine, for a moment, a pure, formless, infinite consciousness. God, Source, the Absolute, the name doesn't matter. This consciousness is everything. It is perfect, whole, and complete. It knows itself as pure being, pure bliss, pure potential. But it has a dilemma. A divine dilemma. It cannot experience its own nature. It cannot know the joy of connection, because there is nothing separate from it to connect with. It cannot know the beauty of love, because there is no other to love. It cannot know its own resilience, because there is nothing to overcome. It exists in a state of perfect, but static, self-awareness. And so, out of an unimaginable impulse of love and creativity, this consciousness performs a great cosmic act. It shatters itself into a billion pieces. It pretends to forget itself. It projects itself into the grand illusion of time, space, and separation. It becomes galaxies, stars, planets, and people. It becomes you. Why? So that it can have the adventure of remembering itself. So that it can experience the joy of finding its way back home. You, in your human life, are a fractal of this cosmic drama. Your awakening, your glimpse of unity, was the moment that the divine consciousness within you remembered its own nature. It was the universe waking up to itself, inside of you. And now, the phase you are in, this messy, difficult, humbling phase of integration, is the most important part of the divine plan. The universe is not interested in having you escape your humanity and float back into a state of formless bliss. It has already done that. The whole point of the game was to see if it could fully realize its own divine nature while being constrained by the beautiful limitations of being human. Could it know itself as boundless love while being stuck in a traffic jam? Could it know itself as eternal peace while dealing with a crying child? Could it know itself as infinite abundance while paying the electricity bill? Your human life is not a mistake or an obstacle on your path to God. Your human life is the arena in which God gets to experience the fullness of its own glory. You are not a flawed human trying to become divine. You are the divine, learning and delighting in the experience of being fully, completely, and consciously human. When you bring your awakened presence to the simple act of washing the dishes, you are not just cleaning a plate. You are fulfilling a cosmic destiny. You are solving the divine dilemma. You are showing the universe to itself, in all its mundane, messy, and magnificent glory. This is the great work. This is the purpose of your life. Part 10. Falling in love with the ordinary, and so we arrive at the final, quiet revelation. The one that ties it all together. The one that finally allows the returning astronaut to feel at home on Earth. We have seen that your disillusionment came from the gap between your memory of the peak and the reality of the mundane. You have been holding up your ordinary life and judging it against the standard of your transcendent awakening, and it has always come up short. You have been subtly at war with the ordinary, seeing it as the barrier to your peace. The last turn of the key, the final epiphany, is this. The purpose of your awakening was not to make you hate your ordinary life. The purpose of your awakening was to give you the capacity to finally, truly, fall in love with your ordinary life. Let that land in your heart. The ultimate bliss is not found in escaping the world. It is found in loving the world so completely, so unconditionally, that every part of it becomes a doorway to the divine. It is to love the feeling of gravity, not just the feeling of weightlessness. The great secret of cutting wood and carrying water is not that you must endure these tasks. It is that you can discover a love for the simple, solid reality of the wood, a profound gratitude for the cool clarity of the water, that is deeper, more stable, and more nourishing than any fleeting state of spiritual ecstasy. The ecstasy of the peak experience is like a passionate, fiery affair. It's exciting, it's mind-blowing, it changes everything. But it is not sustainable. The love that you are cultivating now is a mature, abiding love. It is the love of a long-term partnership. It is the love that finds its joy not in the dramatic highs, but in the quiet, shared moments of everyday existence. It is a love that says, I choose this. I choose the dishes. I choose the traffic. I choose the messy, imperfect beauty of this human life. And I will find you, God. I will find you here. This is the end of seeking. As long as you believe that peace and love are in a different state, a different place, a different experience, you will always be seeking. You will always be subtly at war with the present moment. The moment you fall in love with the ordinary, the seeking ends. Because you realize that what you were looking for was never out there. It was always right here, hidden in plain sight, waiting for you to bring enough presence, enough love, enough awareness to see it. This is the great homecoming. The end of the war between your spirit and your life. The two become one. Your life becomes a living prayer. Every breath, a meditation. Every step, a pilgrimage. Every interaction, a chance for love. You are not a failed mystic because you are still human. You are a master because you are finally, joyfully, willing to be human. This gentle, grounded peace is the true fruit of awakening. If this journey has helped you to find the doorway back into the sacredness of your own life, then help us show that doorway to others. Subscribe to The Hidden Voice. Like and share this message. Every interaction helps to ground this practical, embodied spirituality in a world that so desperately needs it. It helps people to stop seeking for a heaven in the sky, and to start cultivating it right here on earth. Thank you for your courage to return home. Now go and find the infinite in your next cup of tea.